Ladies and gentlemen, in the daily lives of Vietnamese people, few foods are as trusted and cherished as honey. More than just a natural sweetener, honey has long been regarded as a precious gift from nature to human health. From soothing a cough and boosting immunity, to relieving a sore throat, nourishing the skin, supporting sleep, and fighting aging, honey stands as a quiet yet loyal companion, walking with us through each stage of life. Many believe that honey is so gentle and wholesome that it can be consumed daily by both adults and children. A glass of honey water in the morning, a bit of honey mixed with warm lemon, or a small spoonful to ease a cough, these have all become familiar habits in many households. We put our faith in the wholesome sweetness of honey because it comes from nature, and nature is often assumed to be safe. However, there's something not everyone realizes in time, that sometimes what seems good and beneficial can turn harmful if used the wrong way, at the wrong time, or for the wrong person. Not every body is equipped to safely process honey, and not every moment is the right time to consume it, even a single drop. For some people, just one spoonful of honey can trigger a dangerous reaction in the body. There are dishes that seem simple, but when combined with honey, produce harmful biological effects. And there are preparation methods that, if misunderstood, can turn this treasured gift into a burden for the liver, the heart, or even the immune system. Today's video won't just revisit the familiar benefits of honey that you may already know. It will dive deeper into the lesser-known corners that few people warn about, the hidden dangers that, if overlooked, could cost you your health or even your life. And if you're thinking, it's just honey, how serious could it be? Please give yourself a few minutes to take in this entire message, because sometimes one small change in how you use something can be enough to protect the health of someone you love or your own. But before we get into the precautions, let's go back to the beginning. Why is honey so highly praised? Why have generations of our ancestors called it nature's liquid gold? Could it be that behind that gentle sweetness lies a biological marvel we haven't fully understood? That's where we'll start, with the true value of honey, to understand that whatever is precious must also be used properly. To many people, honey is simply a natural sweetener, but behind its sweetness lies a treasure trove of biological richness. Unlike refined white sugar, which merely provides empty calories, honey is a concentrated essence of over 180 beneficial compounds, formed through the long journey of bees collecting nectar, transforming it, storing it, and refining it within their wax combs. In every drop of honey, you'll find a vibrant system of enzymes, biological catalysts that aid digestion, cleanse the body, support metabolism, and protect cells from the silent destruction of free radicals. Honey also contains natural hydrogen peroxide, a powerful antibacterial agent that helps prevent the growth of harmful bacteria, promotes wound healing, and soothes sore throats or stomach ulcers. And that's not all. Honey is also rich in polyphenols and flavonoids, key antioxidants that neutralize factors that accelerate aging and help protect the heart, skin, and nervous system. You could say that each spoonful of honey, when used correctly, acts like a natural tonic, not only boosting your immunity, but also bringing a sense of calm and relaxation, especially during times of weather changes when the body becomes more sensitive and vulnerable. The ancients once compared honey to a natural medicine, and not without reason. Taking a small amount regularly each day can improve sleep, soothe the throat, relieve constipation, and even enhance the skin, thanks to its ability to nourish the body from within. However, honey, like any gift from nature, is not always suitable for everyone. And this is something many people tend to overlook. Every body is unique, with its own sensitivities and limitations. Honey is only truly gentle when used correctly, in the right amount, and most importantly, in accordance with the user's physical condition. Because there are people who may seem perfectly healthy on the outside, whose immune or digestive systems are highly sensitive to compounds found in honey. For these individuals, even a single drop, seemingly harmless, can provoke severe reactions, not just mild bloating or rashes, but potentially food poisoning, respiratory distress, spikes in blood sugar, or the worsening of underlying health conditions quietly simmering inside the body. So who are the people who absolutely should not consume honey? Not even a small spoonful. It's not because honey isn't good, but because their bodies simply aren't ready to receive such a potent substance. Up next, we invite you to pay close attention to this crucial segment, information that could help prevent seemingly harmless mistakes from turning into serious health risks. Because who knows, it might be you or someone dear to you who falls into one of these high-risk groups that must be especially cautious with honey. The first group we must be extremely careful with is infants under 1 year old. This may come as a surprise to many, as some parents still believe that honey can treat oral thrush, aid digestion, or boost immunity in babies. But medical science has made it clear, honey can contain spores of the bacterium Clostridium botulinum, a microorganism capable of causing a very dangerous neurotoxic poisoning. Adults and older children have immune systems and enzymes strong enough to neutralize it, but infants do not. Their digestive systems are not yet fully developed, and their livers are not ready to detoxify. Just a tiny amount of honey can lead to respiratory failure, muscle paralysis, seizures, or in the worst cases, death. There have been many emergency cases caused by a single spoonful of honey passed down as good for babies. Please remember, for children under 1 year old, honey is absolutely off limits, even once. The second group includes people with diabetes. It might seem simple, but many still mistakenly believe that because honey is a natural sugar, it's safer than refined white sugar. In reality, honey is made up of about 70% sugar, including glucose and fructose, two simple sugars that absorb rapidly into the bloodstream. That means even a small spoonful can cause a sharp spike in blood sugar, like a rising tide. For those managing or treating diabetes, this isn't a minor disturbance. It can lead to complications, alter treatment plans, and pose serious risks if not addressed quickly. Honey is not a sweet solution for diabetics. It is still sugar, and possibly even more dangerous if used without proper understanding. The third group who should be cautious are those with high fevers or those taking fever-reducing medications. According to Eastern medicine, honey has a warming nature. When the body is running a fever, its internal temperature is already elevated, and it needs to cool down naturally to recover. Adding honey at this time is like pouring oil on the fire. It doesn't just make it harder to bring the fever down, it can interfere with the effectiveness of fever-reducing drugs, prolonging the fever, causing exhaustion, dehydration, and lingering fatigue. Honey should only be consumed after the body has recovered, as a gentle restorative, not as a weapon to fight off an active fever. And finally, we come to those with liver conditions, especially cirrhosis. The liver is responsible for processing and filtering most of the substances we consume. Honey, although natural, still requires the liver to metabolize it. For healthy individuals, this isn't a problem. But for those with a weakened liver, adding more sugar, even natural sugar, only places an extra burden on an already overworked organ. In particular, honey contains fructose, a type of sugar that the liver must process directly. When consumed regularly, it can lead to elevated blood sugar, increased liver fatigue, and even trigger a condition known as liver diabetes, a complex and difficult to treat disease that can quickly worsen. So no matter how valuable honey may be, it should never be used carelessly. A drop at the right time may act as a tonic, but a drop for the wrong person or at the wrong moment could be the start of a cascade of imbalances within the body. And if choosing the right person to use honey is the first step, the next, equally important, is understanding that honey doesn't always get along with every type of food. Some seemingly harmless dishes can become dangerous combinations when paired with honey, leading to digestive issues, neurological effects, or even toxin buildup. Let's now take a closer look at the foods that should never be combined with honey, so that none of us unknowingly invite harm with a simple mistake at the dinner table. First up is onions, a common kitchen ingredient. There are countless home remedies passed down that recommend soaking onions in honey to treat coughs. But few know that the enzymes and organic acids in honey can react with the natural sulfur compounds in onions, forming substances that strongly irritate the stomach lining. You may not feel anything after 1 or 2 uses, but over time, or when taken on an empty or sensitive stomach, it can lead to bloating, abdominal discomfort, and even mild poisoning. Folk remedies aren't always correct, especially when they haven't been backed by science. Next is cucumber, an unlikely but problematic pairing. Cucumber has a cooling property, while honey is warming. When these opposing natures meet, especially in the already sensitive digestive systems of older adults or those with stomach issues, the body can react with intestinal spasms, resulting in diarrhea, bloating, and lingering lower abdominal pain. What's more concerning is that these two ingredients often appear together in everyday meals, salads, juices, or grilled dishes. Some people may tolerate it without issue, but for those with weak constitutions, one wrong combination can land them in the hospital. Another pairing that might seem beneficial, but is actually quite dangerous, is honey and Chinese chives. Both are known for treating coughs, clearing phlegm, and aiding digestion. However, when used together, especially in the popular steam preparation for young children, it can have the opposite effect. Both honey and chives have strong laxative properties. Combined, they can lead to acute diarrhea, vomiting, and serious digestive distress, particularly in young children and the elderly with weaker digestion. As the saying goes, too much of a good thing can be harmful, and in this case, too much gentleness becomes a threat. One more food to be cautious with is carp. Traditionally, it's believed that cooking carp with honey nourishes the lungs and boosts vitality. But modern science advises against this combination. When the animal proteins in carp react with the natural sugars in honey, they can form compounds that are difficult to digest and potentially toxic if the proportions are off. People with weak stomachs, compromised liver function, or low immunity might experience symptoms like nausea, diarrhea, or dizziness after what was thought to be a nutritious meal. Always remember, just because two things are good on their own doesn't mean they'll be better together. Next on the list is tofu, a staple food in vegetarian, light, or summer meals. Tofu is rich in calcium and plant-based protein, while honey contains a variety of organic acids and enzymes. When these substances interact, they can silently interfere with nutrient absorption, disrupt digestion, and cause bloating, especially in those sensitive to soy or mild acids. The danger lies in the fact that tofu and honey are rarely eaten together in a single dish, but often appear in the same meal, such as having savory tofu for the main course, followed by a warm honey drink for dessert. Even that unintentional combination is enough to trigger unwanted reactions. And finally, we have kudzu starch, a food traditionally seen as cooling and detoxifying, especially in summer. However, it is one of the few foods specifically advised against being combined with honey. Kudzu contains compounds that may react with the natural sugars in honey, forming mild toxins that affect the central nervous system. Sensitive individuals may experience symptoms such as dizziness, lightheadedness, fatigue, or even fainting after consuming the two together. Children, the elderly, or anyone with a history of low blood pressure should absolutely avoid this pairing. All of this is not to scare anyone away from using honey, but to remind us that even the sweetest, most natural things can become silent toxins when used the wrong way. And often, the problem doesn't lie in the honey or the food it's paired with, but in our own lack of knowledge, careless habits, or underestimating potential consequences. So how do we make sure that honey remains a faithful ally to our health rather than a hidden risk wrapped in goodness? Up next, we'll explore how to use honey correctly, scientifically, and safely, from dosage and timing to preparation and key precautions that everyone using honey should know. Let's start with dosage, perhaps the most commonly overlooked factor. While honey is beneficial, that doesn't mean we should consume it freely. For healthy adults, the ideal daily intake is just 1 to 2 teaspoons, which equals about 10 to 20 millimeters of pure honey. Exceeding this amount not only raises blood sugar levels silently, but also puts added strain on the liver and kidneys. Over time, excessive honey consumption can lead to symptoms like internal heat, acne, constipation, uncontrolled weight gain, or blood sugar irregularities. What's alarming is that most of these symptoms don't show up immediately. They build up gradually, quietly wearing down your health. Next is timing, a seemingly small detail that actually plays a major role in how well the body absorbs honey. The best time to consume honey is in the early morning, right after waking up and before eating. Drinking a glass of warm water mixed with honey 20 to 30 minutes before breakfast can help cleanse the intestines, flush the small intestine, stimulate digestion, boost metabolism, and gently lift your mood. Evening is another suitable time, but only if taken about an hour before bedtime, and only for those who don't suffer from acid reflux or ulcers. When properly prepared, a bit of honey mixed with warm water can calm the nervous system, relax the mind, and help you fall into a deeper, more natural sleep. However, if you're prone to bloating, indigestion, or have a sensitive stomach, it's best to avoid honey at night to prevent any unwanted effects. And it's also important to emphasize this. Never consume honey immediately after a full meal, when your body is already feeling bloated or after eating heavy, hard-to-digest dishes. At that point, honey can actually slow down digestion, causing food to linger in the stomach longer than it should, leading to discomfort or even mild toxicity. For those suffering from gastritis, honey should be used with caution, ideally after consulting a doctor. Now, let's talk about preparation, one of the areas where people make the most mistakes. One of the most common errors is mixing honey with boiling water. Excessive heat doesn't just destroy the precious enzymes in honey. It also wipes out nearly all of its antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties, which are what make honey so special in the first place. In fact, when the temperature exceeds 60 degrees 144, certain reactions can occur that may even produce compounds harmful to the liver. That's why it's essential to remember, always mix honey with warm water around 40 to 50 degrees Celsius, 104-122 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the ideal range to awaken its biological activity without destroying its value. Also, use a glass cup for mixing. Avoid plastic or metal containers, as the mild acidity in honey can react with some materials, reducing purity or creating undesirable byproducts that may harm your health. We often think that if something is good, we can use it freely, the more the better. But the human body is a delicate system. It doesn't need excess. It needs precision and awareness. Honey is not a cure-all. It cannot replace a healthy diet, regular exercise, or proper rest. But when used correctly, it can be a valuable part of our daily wellness journey, gentle yet effective. And perhaps, after everything we've shared, the most precious takeaway isn't the honey itself, but the realization that we've begun learning to listen to our bodies, to understand what we truly need and what we should avoid. So before we end today's video, I invite you to listen to a few final thoughts from someone who creates health content, yes, but also from someone who deeply cares about every meal, every glass of water shared with their family each day. Ladies and gentlemen, we're living in an era where everything moves fast. Meals are rushed, sleep is lighter, and health is often set aside for more urgent priorities. But sooner or later, the body speaks up. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a strange fatigue, a dull ache, or a sleepless night with no clear reason. And it's in moments like these that we pause and realize the things we once considered small, like a spoonful of honey in the morning or a warm glass of water at night, can actually make a big difference if we understand them and use them wisely. I didn't make this video to glorify honey, nor to frighten anyone about something long revered as nature's liquid gold. I only hope that after hearing these thoughts, each of us becomes a little more mindful when choosing what we eat, a little more careful when passing advice to others, and a little more loving toward our own bodies, starting with the smallest habits of our daily lives. Because sometimes a simple reminder, a sincere share, can help someone avoid an unnecessary mistake. And if this video does that, even for just one person, then to me, that's more than enough. If you found today's message helpful, please leave a like so I know I'm not walking this path alone. Share this video with your loved ones, your friends, those you wish good health, wisdom, and a long life beside you. And if you believe this channel is one worth walking with, I invite you to hit that subscribe button. Each week, I'll be back with practical, easy-to-understand health content, not just to speak, but to live more fully. Thank you for staying with me until the very last second. Wishing you and your family good health and peace, not just a long life, but one that's mindful, informed, and beautifully lived in every ordinary moment. See you in the next video.